Well, welcome one and all to the program we call Illumination, coming from the library of Sunset Lodge number 369 in Santa Monica, California. It's good to have you with us. My name is Les Jones. Our producer and man behind the board is Michael Wallback. We're here to talk about a lot of things about Masonry, all parts of Masonry, our members, our teachers, and our leaders, everything to do with it. If you want to get in touch with us, really easy. You can reach us by our website, which is sunsetmasoniclodge.org. sunsetmasoniclodge.org. Or if you want to, you can send us an email. That is sunsetmasoniclodge369@gmail.com. That's sunsetmasoniclodge369@gmail.com. It's great to have you here with us today. Our guest is via telephone. He's one of the newer members of our lodge and has added so much life and vibrancy to it. I want to introduce you to Brother Tom Gelo. Brother Tom, thank you for being a part of our show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Les. It's an honor.
All right. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? You know, where you grew up and what your interests are in and so forth, and what type of work you do. Tell us a little bit about who and what you are.
All right. So I grew up actually in Texas. San Antonio was my hometown for about 18 years. And then I went to school up at SMU, Southern Methodist University in Dallas, where I studied theater and film for a double major. And then right after graduation, I moved out here to Los Angeles to work in that industry. So I sort of do a variety of different things. It's kind of a gig economy out here. So I do some freelance production here and there and some acting as well. I play a character in the NBA 2K video games, and I do some music too as a hobby, but it's sort of turning into more of a professional thing. I play the guitar in a little folk rock band, and that's starting to take off now. So that's pretty much what I'm up to these days. And of course, I'm new to Freemasonry as well, which is exciting.
Really good. And so you went to SMU right off of the Central Expressway in Mockingbird, I would say, huh?
Yes. Yeah, you're a fellow Texan, so you probably know it well.
Yes, I lived in Dallas for many years, so I understand what that's all about. Tell us, how did you find out about Freemasonry?
You know, it's interesting. I had heard, as most people have, about sort of the mythos of Freemasonry, but I didn't know much about it. And I was actually at a networking party here in Hollywood with my acting manager, and I met Brother Jonathan Taylor, who was a member at Sunset Lodge. And I saw his pin on his jacket. He had a Master Mason emblem, and I was just curious about it. I asked him, what's that? What does that mean? And he sort of pulled me aside and told me about Masonry and said, hey, if this is something you're interested in, come on by the lodge. And I didn't really know even then what to expect, but who would turn that invitation down? A chance to learn about this sort of secretive organization that you've only heard about through the grapevine. And then I was able to go to the lodge, and it turned out to be sort of a life-changing experience for me.
Sure, and what a great person to find out from. If I was to pick the first person I ever met that was a Mason, Brother Taylor would be absolutely probably one of the very best. So you.
Oh, yes.
Am I right? Isn't he something else?
Oh, definitely. He's so friendly, and also an amazing sort of guitar virtuoso, classical guitar player. And he took me in and was really friendly through the whole process.
All right. Now you came into our lodge. What did you think when you first got in, and what got you to say, man, this is it. I want to be a part of this.
Well, it's actually interesting because I really didn't know what I was getting into. And as I was recently raised to Master Mason, and I am still learning so much about what the fraternity is and what everything means. So I have a bit of a fresher perspective coming into this. But what really made me want to stick around was that I kind of clicked with this idea of the moral framework of Freemasonry. And what I really liked about the organization was that it seemed to me to be very libertarian, and not necessarily in the political sense, but in the sense of the celebration of free will and free thought within these sort of the guidelines of moral rectitude. And that was something that I was looking for in my life that I didn't necessarily find in organized religion, and I had sort of before that not really clicked with any one religion throughout my life, but I was always a very spiritual person. And so Masonry, it kind of felt like for the first time, like what people must feel like when they go to church. I felt a connection to that side of Masonry, and this group of people who it didn't matter where you came from or what your personal beliefs were, as long as you were good people. That was at the core of it, and that's what attracted me to and made me want to come back.
That's awesome. And by the way, you were talking about feeling like you were just brand new at all of this. I've been around for 7 years, and I feel like I'm brand new still. There's so much to learn.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, and
you can never really learn everything.
oh no, nowhere close, nowhere close. Okay, so you've decided you're going to be a part of this thing. I'd love to go through what people think about their degrees. What about your first degree? That was your first hint at what we're all about. What was that like for you?
It was certainly nerve-wracking kind of going in to that first degree, and I didn't really know what to expect. And of course, you had some of the brothers making jokes about the rumors that are out there about what Freemasons do, and joking about like, oh, you're gonna have to sacrifice a goat and all sorts of stuff like that, and which I knew was a joke at the time. But
Yeah.
the first degree was really sort of a shock in a good way. And also it's hard, even looking back, it's kind of a blur because you don't, while it's happening, you're trying to absorb everything, but it's a lot to go through at once. And it wasn't until I became an entered apprentice that I went back and watched some other first degrees where I really started to understand what was going on.
Right.
In the subsequent degrees, I started to go into it being like, okay, pay attention, listen to things, and listen to the words that are being spoken. But that first one is kind of a blur.
I know. It really is. It really is. And it's so much to try to take in at one time. It really is. All right. I want to remind everybody that this is our program, Illumination, brought to you from the library of Sunset Lodge 369. It's great to have you with us today. My name is Les Jones, our producer. A man behind the board and a microphone and a pair of headphones on is Michael Wallback. He's going to help us out today. Need to reach us very easily. Go to our website. That's sunsetmasoniclodge.org. sunsetmasoniclodge.org, or you can reach us via email, which is sunsetmasoniclodge369@gmail.com. sunsetmasoniclodge369@gmail.com. We would love to see you and hear from you. We're here most Tuesday nights. I would get in touch with us before you come by just to double check. We are open most Tuesday nights. And it all starts at about 6:30 in the evening where we have a meal together. And then at 7:30 we do whatever we're doing, whether it's a practice or something like that or a stated meeting, then that's what we do. We'd love to see you and have you come and visit us. If you're a Mason, we'd love to see you if you're coming through. Or hey, if you're not a Mason, we'd love to see you also. Come by and have a bite to eat with us and chat. We'd love to see you. Our guest is a great new friend of ours who has just not fairly recently received his Master Mason degree, Brother Tom Gelo. Tom, thank you again for being a part of our show today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Happy to be here.
All right, now we got that first degree aside where the big shock is. There's a little bit of, and it's all not bad. It's a good shock, as you put it. What was the second degree like? My favorite one.
Well, I actually had the privilege of receiving the lecture from you.
Yeah.
And I know that is your favorite degree. And man, that was such a great experience with hearing the lecture. And as someone too who really who works in art and loves that symbolism and the explanation of what all of those symbols means, that was a really great experience for me as well. So I really did love that second degree, and that's when I really started to. I think that when you're becoming a Mason, that's sort of the point where you realize, like, oh, I'm actually learning some of these of the secrets of Masonry and what everything means, and that's when the insider knowledge kind of kicks in, and it was really fun experience.
It's really wonderful. I tell everyone how much I love being a part of that degree, and every time I do it, what I love most about it is practicing for it, because it's so rich. I'm still learning things out of it every time I go over it. So it's good to hear.
Right. And these things, these degrees, they become personal to an extent, and you can sort of dive into the symbolism of everything more and more, and there's always more to take away from it. They, of course, affect you in different ways based on your own personal experience. So that's something that's really unique to I think, the second degree, or all of the degrees, really.
Yeah, I was having coffee with a good friend of mine today, and he asked me about something like that, and I was telling him, the lessons are taught by allegory and symbol, and he really didn't understand the symbol type of thing. And the way I see it is that, and this might have to do a lot with what you were saying, is that you could learn a lesson and see the symbol, and that symbol means something to you at one time, and you really can identify with it there. What's really unique about symbols is that you could see it 2 years later in the same setting. It means something totally different to you because it
Right.
reflects you and your life at that moment. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. And there's never really a wrong way to interpret that. It's one thing to say, oh, when speculative masonry started, this symbol meant this, and that's what it means today. But if you look at that symbol and you are able to take something away from it, then that's not wrong. It's just your interpretation of that symbol, and I feel like masonry does a good job of allowing room for that personal experience.
That's really true. That's what I love about it. Nobody tells you what your truth is.
Exactly.
All right, we got the first 2 degrees. Then there's the grandpappy of them all, the third degree. I got to have your input and your ideas about going through that degree.
Oh, that not to break your heart, Les, but the third degree was my favorite one.
Right.
Just because of the theatrics of the whole thing, as someone who appreciates that sort of thing. And it's interesting because when I was in college, I was a Sigma Chi in the Sigma Chi fraternity on campus, and a lot of the founders of that college fraternity had been Masons. And when they started the college fraternity, they sort of took some of the same approaches to initiation, and it was interesting to see the comparison between that initiation and then the Masons one, because they were Masons. But what I loved about it was the theatrics, and without going into too much detail, I don't know what we're allowed to mention here, but Brother Colella, who did one of the major parts of the third degree, really acted it out, and he really embodied the character, and that was a lot of fun to experience. And man, yeah, I love how it feels like you're sort of part of a play and part of a story that's unfolding in front of you.
Tell me about the comparison. You kind of alluded to it between your fraternity and Masonry.
Yeah, so there are essentially, when I was pledging the fraternity, there are different steps and different nights that you go through before the final initiation. And the final initiation was sort of theatrical in the same way as the third degree is, where it's both symbolic, but you also have these real props in the room, and you have physical movement and people around you doing the chants and this sort of thing. And there was a lot, while the words themselves were different, there was a lot of similarities between the two. And I recently found out that those founders of the college fraternity had been Masons, which made a lot of sense to me.
That's awesome. All right, real good. And how do you so you've gone through all the degrees. What does being a Mason mean to you in your life right now?
Well, currently, and part of the reason another reason I was attracted to Masonry is the philanthropic side of everything. Is I didn't really have enough philanthropy in my life, and I wanted to do more for the community around me. And Masonry offered that, of course, with all the relief that we do, and you do some great work with the homeless shelters down in Santa Monica. And so I wanted to become more involved with that. And moving forward, that's sort of what I want to head in that direction. I also think that there is a lot, like Masonry rings true for a lot of my generation. It sort of fills a moral gap sort of that my generation has, and that I think a lot of people my age are looking for. And what I want to do moving forward is sort of spread the word of Masonry in a way, and without recruiting people to become Masons or making sure it's of their own free will and accord, but sort of spreading the word and trying to bring it to my generation, because I think that it can really grow.
How do you
in that way?
Sure, that's a wonderful thing. I really believe in that. How do you see yourself doing that?
That's where it gets a little tricky,
Right.
because you don't want to necessarily go out and say, "Hey, check this thing out called Freemasonry," and because then that defeats the purpose of seeking light on your own, which is
Right.
a big part of that first degree. So, and this is a question I asked a few of the brothers at the lodge, and part of it is just wearing. I try to wear my pin anytime I'm out at an event or something like that, and I'll bring Masonry up in conversation. I have a Mason meeting tonight or tomorrow, and I get a lot of inquisitive people who will pull me aside and say, like, "Hey, what is that about, by the way? Because I've heard about this." And that sort of is a good way to go about doing it and saying, "Oh, well, if you're interested, come by the lodge, and we'd love to have you." And so it's kind of a balance, I think, and I'm still figuring it out exactly.
One of the things that I truly believe in, and I brought this up during a podcast earlier, is that we have our three basic principles in Masonry. That's brotherly love, relief, and truth. And it's so important. We start off with brotherly love. We care for each other. We support each other. We're there for each other. And we take this love and care and so forth, and we present it to the world. We go to the world and do the same thing there. And I think that if Masonry has suffered, it's because they tended to bicker within the walls of the lodge. And that spirit is taken out into the world, and people know it. They might not realize it right away, but they know it. And so what we do in relief is just sharing whatever bonds we have within the walls of our lodge to our community around us. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it, and through our community engagement as well with the work that we do, and the philanthropic efforts and all of this is a great way of showing that those bonds as well. You see Masons out there working together, giving relief to the community, not just to other brothers, and it attracts attention from people in a good way.
That's right. That's right. I apply it at work all the time with the students that I work with. And I hope it shines through. Anyway, I want to remind everyone this is the program Illumination from Sunset Lodge number 369 in Santa Monica, California, right from the library. My name is Les Jones, and our producer and the man behind the board is Brother Michael Wolbach. Brother Michael, when I finish this, I'd love for you to hop in if you have any thoughts. In the meantime, if you want to reach us, you can go to our website at sunsetmasoniclodge.org. That's sunsetmasoniclodge.org. Or you can send us an email, sunsetmasoniclodge, a little bit different, 369 at gmail.com. That's sunsetmasoniclodge369 at gmail.com. We are here most every Tuesday night. Please do get in touch with us before you come by, just to be sure, but probably we're going to be open. Nothing to worry about there. If you're a Mason and you're coming through, please stop by and have a bite to eat with us. It starts at 6:30 where we eat, and at 7:30, whatever activities we have for the night. If you happen not to be a Mason, you're invited also. Just come on in and visit us, and we'd love to see you. And come have a bite to eat with us also. Our guest is Brother Tom Gelo. That's Gelo instead of the J, right, Tom?
Yeah, not like the pudding.
There you go. Brother Michael.
Yeah, it's a really great show. I'm really enjoying it. And, it's amazing to hear the different reasons people join the fraternity. I don't know if Brother Thomas knows this, but collectively, worldwide, Masonry every day donates, I think the last figure I saw, about $2.5 million a day anonymously to charity.
Wow.
And the thing I like about it is it's truly charity in my sense, is that they don't go looking for recognition. It's not like we're doing all these things and promoting it. It's just sort of quietly done. And I've often thought that there are a lot of people doing charity that really aren't. in the sense that they're doing it for marketing purposes or promotion. But Masonry, I think, does real charity. And of course, one of the ones that a lot of people are familiar with is the Shriners Children's Hospitals, that the Shrine is a Masonic organization funds fully, and they do just some absolutely amazing work. So check that out, guys, if you're on the air and you want to find out more about that. But yeah, there's all kinds of centers we run for kids with disabilities, learning disabilities. Just the list goes on, as well as the charity that our own lodge does, which
Yes.
from time to time we certainly do as well. So it's really cool to hear that you're interested in that, and trust me, Masonry has plenty of avenues for philanthropy if that's something you're interested in doing. So,
Brother Michael, it seems to me like that's been a kind of ongoing theme with the really good brothers that I've spoken to. They've had that attitude. And if you notice, some of our guests has had that pretty much that basic attitude in what they're doing.
yeah, and I think that the other thing is that I think the reason people should be joining the fraternity is to better themselves in the sense of being around good people, having good influences, furthering their intellectual development, things of that nature, because I believe that that's important. And what we're trying to do is give the person who wants to do good the means to do good, in the sense that we're trying to help them to learn. I encourage Brother Thomas, if you really want to go through and learn the ritual work and become master of the lodge, the skills you'll get in public speaking and organizational skills from that, of course, then people take those skills out into the world in their own businesses and so forth and philanthropies. So it's a huge opportunity to really better yourself in so many different ways. And I really think that is the reason to join. So I'm hoping that filters through to most of our new guys. I think it really does. So.
It really does. Well, Brother Tom, you're hearing me and Brother Michael talk. What do you have anything to add to this?
No, I mean, I'm certainly looking forward to becoming an officer in the lodge. Right now, I'm, working on that long form proficiency for the 3rd degree. It's no joke, that thing. But once I get that memorized, hopefully in the next couple months, I'll be able to do my proficiency and get a little bit more involved with the officer side of the lodge, because that is certainly a goal of mine to one day be master of a lodge, hopefully Sunset 369. So, yeah.
I think you'd be a great master, and the contributions you made already have been tremendous, and we're glad to have you a part of this. What do you see?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure. What do you see about your future? I know you brought up the idea that you would like to tackle that 3rd degree proficiency. But and you're looking to be a master. What do you see your future in Freemasonry?
That is a great question. I'm not entirely 100% sure. I think I want to. A good friend of mine, Brother Matt Abshire, who recently received his 3rd degree as well with Sunset. He did the Scottish Rite degrees recently, and I think that's probably what I'm interested in moving forward. And in terms of actually working with the lodge, and I just want to sort of be involved with not only being an officer, but the community outreach stuff and spreading those bonds out into the community. So whatever position that sort of takes me to eventually would be great. And of course, it would be an honor to serve as master at some point down the line. But I got a lot of work to do before I get there in terms of learning how everything works.
Sure.
Still.
Sure. Well, I think you gave a great answer. Yeah, I don't know, because there's so much here, just so much rich stuff that's here in this lodge and in Masonry. I had Brother Matt on not too long ago on this very podcast. He was a guest of mine a couple of weeks after both he and I became members of the Scottish Rite. And I tell you, it's absolutely wonderful. You will not regret that. Not to say that I'm a quote unquote better Mason, because that's not such. We're all brothers. Right. We're all on the level here. We're all equal. But it's always good to find out more and to learn more. And so I very, very definitely see that in your future. That'd be a wonderful thing for you to do. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
All right, real good. And by the way, once again, this is Illumination from Sunset Lodge number 369. We love having you guys around. Come by and visit us anytime. We're here on Tuesday nights from 6:30 until 7:30. We have a meal, and we love to see you guys. Now, Brother Tom, do you have any final words for our audience today? I hate to put it that way, but do you have any final words about life, about Freemasonry, and where you're going?
Well, of course, I want to say thank you to both yourself and Brother Wishful Wambach for having me on the podcast today. And then, for anyone listening who might be sort of where I am, maybe they're new to Freemasonry or they just received their third degree. My words would be to continue on strong and don't let the fact that you reach that third degree let you get lazy with your work in Masonry. And, because there's so much more moving forward in terms of bettering yourself and learning more about the fraternity. So I hope that any brothers listening who are where I am will continue on their journeys with Masonry and sort of make the best of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being a part of this. And by the way, I just want to go over a few of the things if you want to know about some of the up and coming events here at Sunset Lodge. On May the 22nd, we're going to be a part of the OSI at Santa Monica Lodge at number 307. And that's on Santa Monica Boulevard. They'll be going over the first degree. And on June the 4th is our stated meeting right here. If you want to come have a great meal, those are the ones to be a part of along the way. Anyway, it's been an honor to have you, Brother Tom. Thank you so much again for being a part of this and sharing your life and who and what you are along the way.
Of course, and thank you. Thanks again for having me.
Real good. All right, everyone. Once again, I've said this a few times, but it's very important. This is the program Illumination. Thank you for being here and being a part of our program. If you want to get in touch with us, please do. We love to hear from you. The email address is Sunset Masonic Lodge, a little bit differently, 369 at gmail.com. That's Sunset Masonic Lodge 369 at gmail.com. We love to hear from you. Love to get your ideas on what you want to see and hear more about and along the way. All right, Brother Michael, do you have any final words also to add to this? I think I called him
not
off,
a whole.
but-
You did catch me off guard. I
I'm
wasn't
sorry
expecting you to
about
come
that.
back to be less. So yeah, no, not a whole lot. Just I'm really great to see these new guys joining, the young
Yes.
guys. Our lodge getting progressively younger, which I think is always exciting, and as we've mentioned before, progressively more diverse, which I
Yes.
think is really exciting. So
That's
I
wonderful.
really love the direction our lodge is going at the moment, and I think we're going to be starting a lot of new programs. We're going to resurrect our philosophy club, which I think is fantastic for the lodge. These young guys are all like Brother Thomas are all interested in the symbolism, the history, the philosophy of Masonry. So I think we're going to be doing a lot more programs along that line too. And so there's a lot going on at the lodge. And anyone that wants to come by and visit, we'd love to have you and show you some hospitality, and it would be a great time. So definitely swing by. So
Yes. And
take us home less.
there you go. and the energy. We're getting some good energy, a good forward look at all the new members of the lodge here. And we're awfully honored to have them a part of us and showing us new things. And that nothing wrong with that at all. Anyway, thank you for being a part of the program. We are here pretty much every week and love to see you again soon. So thank you. Have a great one today.